This is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to answer the question, are Bitcoiners just psychopaths? There's been a lot of talk about this article that was published in the UK and the US Sun, as well as the New York Post, talking about how psychopaths and sadists are drawn to Bitcoin investing. Scientists reveal. This is an article by Harry Pettit, who is hot off the trail of investigating whether the vanilla flavoring in your vanilla ice cream comes from castoreum, which is a sticky goo that's secreted by beavers at the base of their tail. And you'll be very relieved to learn that your vanilla ice cream is probably not made from beaver flavoring. This article by Harry Pettit draws on another article, which I'll link to here, which you can read about. Basically, is a survey that tries to show that people who are interested in Bitcoin are all psychopaths, and that they possess the dark tetrad, which is a mixture of Machiavellianism, narcissism, psychopathy, and sadism. So we'll talk a little bit more about this. The question that came to mind for me, though, is if I were Harry Pettit, of course, if I wanted to keep my job, I wouldn't do this. But if I were him, would I really start writing an article about contemporary psychopaths by starting with Bitcoiners? Because I have another list of folks that I would probably use. There's this guy named Zuckerberg, who's very famous back in college for calling the people who handed over his data to him dumb, followed by another word. There's Christine Lagarde, of course, who's criticized Bitcoin and herself been indicted over briberies and payouts. There's Janet Yellen, who has a very strong interest in preserving the current system, made over $7 million in speaking fees. They're the BlackRock execs who are buying up your houses, at the same time criticizing you for being entitled as they fly on their private jets. So I would start with a list like this. But of course, these are the people in power, and you can't attack them if you want to keep your job at the Sun or the New York Post. If you're finding this video helpful so far, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Maybe share this video with a few friends as well. Here's another person, Elizabeth Warren, hiding behind her associates while getting off of her private jet. This is psychopathic behavior, as well as this guy. I'm not going to mention his name. You're quite familiar with him. This is him talking about how he's infiltrated various government cabinets around the world. World Economic Forum, this is a prime example of psychopaths, in my opinion. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And imagine running an ad campaign like this and being that tone deaf and that out of touch, where you think that this kind of ad campaign might actually make people happy. Finally, we have people like the founder of Microsoft, who currently owns the most farmland in the U.S. These are the kind of people that Harry Pettit could have written about in terms of their psychopathic behavior. But I think what happens to people in the legacy system, in the fiat financial system, and people who write articles for them, they're really engaged in classic Freudian projection. The fiat system, in all its high priests and its acolytes, they project their own mental illness, their own psychopathy, onto normal, hardworking people who just want to be left alone, who are interested in Bitcoin simply because they don't want to have their savings stolen, both through taxes and through inflation and money printing. And I think this is often what happens, which is if you're a very evil person, you might project that evilness onto other people. So there are a lot of problems with the psychopath study. You can read that article. I linked to. The biggest problem was just not a lot of data points. They surveyed 500 people. They used a self-reporting survey, so there was no psychiatric evaluation of these people, and so we don't even know whether any of them were psychopaths. There was not an in-depth study of them done. The other problems, if you read the articles, they really do conflate Bitcoin and crypto, and they keep using these terms interchangeably, which shows really kind of how distant from the space they are. They also conflate and confuse trading with investing and hodling. So they say people get into Bitcoin investing for the thrills and for the adrenaline rushes. And I would say that this has more to do with, obviously, if you're trading crypto or trading Bitcoin. The other really funny thing about these articles, too, is It thinks the author of the survey, as well as Harry Pettit, think that anyone who distrusts their government is a crazy conspiracy theorist. And I'm not sure how someone could be quite that naive at this point, at this late point in history. But I'll say here that the Bitcoiners that I know, including all of you guys, are some of the smartest, kindest, most open-minded, highest EQ, highest emotional intelligence, most honest people that I've ever known. There are obviously psychopaths in every space, but I have to say that Bitcoiners are some of the most self-aware people that I've ever known. Now, if you want to attack a movement, and Bitcoin is certainly a social movement as well as being a software protocol, if you want to attack a movement, the first step, the classic step, is you try to dehumanize the people involved, you smear the people involved, you try to stir up public outrage, and then start to get the people canceled or have legislation moved against passed against them. So we should expect to see a lot more of this. We already see articles like this all the time, how Bitcoin is just for white supremacists, how terrible it is to date someone who's into crypto, and these are a little bit of a psyop, I'd have to say. I love this meme here. Psychopath shows that when people start yelling at you like this, it's a sign that Bitcoin is finally a big thing, and that the system is feeling threatened by it. Toxic Bitcoin maximalists, I think the way that this is defined in action is not necessarily people who are mean or rude, though it can also include that, but it's really, the way I see it used is just, it's used against anyone who points out that the coin that someone is shelling has a large pre-mine or pre-sale, that it's decentralized in name only, that's controlled and issued by a corporation or by shady individuals who are dumping on you. And so I think this is an interesting thing when you see how the incentives play out, and this is usually how Bitcoin maximalist, how this term is used. That being said, there are indeed psychopaths in crypto, and I've talked about many of them in my channel. Again, these are just my opinions, but I would put Vitalik in this category. It's basically anyone who started their own cryptocurrency after Satoshi. We have the Solana billionaires laughing how they're going to dump on retail investors, people like David Sachs and Chamath, who you can watch in this video. And then, of course, yesterday's video where we have Charles Hoskinson pushing his inventions and enriching himself off the backs of African children. These people truly are psychopaths, in my opinion. Again, I don't know them personally. I just know them about reading about them on the internet. But I think that if I were writing this article about whether Bitcoiners are psychopaths, these would be the people I'd be focused on, the people who are not saying mean things online, but the people who've actually printed up their own money and have done elaborate ruses and scams to try to get people to buy their freshly printed money. Finally, if you are a Bitcoin hodler, I would say that you're probably not a sadist or psychopath, but you might be a masochist in the best sense of the term. And I always come back to this hodling meme where when Bitcoin gets to $1 million, everyone's going to tell us how easy it was, how we didn't do anything to arrive at that sort of wealth. Whereas in fact, if you've been holding a significant amount of Bitcoin relative to your net worth for any period of time, you know what hodling is actually like. It's not something, it's something that's a psychological battle for yourself. It's not something where you have to go out there and be mean to other people. But the real battle is with your own ego, with your own level of understanding and the state of your own knowledge and how much you understand Bitcoin, and as a result are able to hold on for dear life and hodl. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.